And join us now, Bryant, McFadden, and Barrett, Sallee in Atlanta ahead of the Peach Bowl. Appreciate it, guys, for hanging out with us a little bit. And B-Mac, Georgia may be coming in with a little bit of a different mindset as past champions. They actually see themselves as the hunter as opposed to the hunted. You had a chance to speak to the guys this week. What was your takeaway on that aspect or theory heading into this one?
Well, I think that's just a sense of motivation for Georgia because let's keep it real. Usually the team that won the championship the year before, that's the team that the team that everyone else is chasing. And that's what we're seeing right now based on the anticipation going into this playoff series when you look at what's going on in Arizona and, of course, here in Atlanta. So I think that's just a sense of motivation for them. But they're the champions for a particular reason because they were the best team a year ago, and currently they're still the best team right now in college football.
And Barrett, last time we saw Ohio State, it was kind of interesting. Let's just say it was pretty bad. Michigan handling business there against them. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it there. After that loss, though, you thought they were in limbo a little bit. Here's what Ryan Day and Marvin Harrison Jr. had to say how they handled that waiting game until that point.
It was very emotional. Obviously, a lot of ups and downs. At one point, we kind of thought our season went over. Not being able to make the college football playoffs, but then we got a second chance at life, so definitely thankful for the opportunity.
Well, what we did is took a couple days there, and then quickly just got together with the team and said, listen, if a couple things go our way, we're probably going to be playing Georgia here in this game. And so that started the Wednesday before we even knew what was going to happen. And we got out there and had a couple practices, which was good because the best thing to do is get back to work, and that's what we did. And then when it did kind of fall that way over the weekends, our guys just had so much energy because we already talked about this, and then it just kind of translated into some really good practices and some physical practices. And we've had an edge about us. And then we got down here, had 3 really good days of work, and about to go have another day, and we'll just keep working towards 8 o'clock on Saturday night.
You're obviously an offensive guy. When you look at
So, Barrett, obviously, of course, things fell their way. They're in the CFP here. They get another shot after waiting around after that loss to Michigan. What was your takeaway from speaking to some of the guys and how they kind of moved up to this point?
Yeah, they're hungry. They're really hungry. And I think the defense specifically, talking to some of the defensive guys, especially defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, they're angry. They're angry with what J.J. McCarthy was able to do to them in that loss to Michigan. They're angry that they gave up explosive plays. And for the last month, that has been what has been pounded into them, that they cannot let that happen against a Georgia team that is full of explosive plays. This is not a ground and pound Georgia team. This is a Georgia team that can beat you through the air. So I think it's fair to say these Ohio State players, the defense specifically, they're embarrassed. They took what happened against Michigan personally. And look, I don't want to see an angry Ohio State team if I'm Georgia because there's talent all over the place.
Well, we should see an angry Ohio State team, especially on the defensive side, because you talked about the letdown that we saw the last time they took the field against Michigan. One thing about this Georgia's offense, when you talk about the balance, they're one of the more balanced teams in college football. Stetson Bennett, you can say whatever you want to say about him, but he's done a great job in orchestrating this offense, not to mention what they can do when they can control the game at the line of scrimmage in the trenches and running the football. So it's imperative for Ohio State to do something they were not able to do against Michigan, which was suffocate the ground and pound attack and make the Wolverines one-dimensional, because if they're not able to do that against Georgia, good luck in trying to slow them down.
When you talk Georgia, we always think about their defense. Yes, that's their calling card. We get it. You guys touched on it a little bit there. But on the opposite side, you got a guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not sure if many people know who he is, but you should know because the numbers don't lie. If you're Ugga, Barrett, how do they plan to maybe slow him down? Because I highly doubt they can stop him here in this matchup.
Yeah, I think they're going to get into his face. Yeah, I heard a couple of the defensive backs, Keely Ringo, Tyke Smith, both said that they need to get into his face. They need to get him off of his route early. And they know how good he is. And I'm talking to Marvin Harrison. You saw a clip earlier of what he said. He has taken more of a vocal leadership role. They didn't have Jackson Smith and Jigba for essentially the entire season. That was kind of a shock to some of those receivers. And Marvin said, look, he was a guy that led by example He had to go in, be more vocal, but I think for this specific game, they need to get open off the line of scrimmage right off the bat. Georgia is going to try to press them. That was what Will Muschamp sort of insinuated to me as well. So I think it's going to be a physical game. Whoever wins that battle outside on the line of scrimmage is going to have a big day. And look, Ohio State needs that because they cannot get into an old school game against this defense.
And talking about the physical nature that we may see from UGA's defense in the secondary, I think it's important for Ohio State to move Marvin Harrison Jr. around. You just don't want to line him up in the perimeter, put him in the slot, allow him to be able to utilize his athleticism in space. Because when you look at the secondary guys from UGA, the most important thing they do well is tackle. You may catch the football on them, but they tackle the catch extremely well, and they keep everything in front of them. They don't allow a lot of big-time splash plays, so I expect to see that same trend in regards to their secondary play. But when you talk about Marvin Harrison, he has to be the best wide receiver on the football field in that matchup for them to be successful on the offensive side of things.
By the way, his numbers did a lot of those the talking there throughout the season. 72 receptions, almost 1,200 yards and 12 TDs. Hopefully you see that in this matchup here between those two guys. Appreciate it, Barrett and BMAC, as always. They're in the ATL ahead of that big matchup. Hey, don't forget the All Things Cover. You can catch BMAC there and Patrick Peterson chopping it up per usual on the pod. The latest, Pat P reacted to his clutch interception in that win over the Giants, plus getting snubbed for the Pro Bowl. I remember that talk, and also a preview of the Packers. Download and subscribe.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.